welcome back, guys. So Tim Walz is out this week explaining why he was Vice President Kamala Harris's VP pick.
I would argue because we did a lot of amazing progressive things in Minnesota that improved people's lives. But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this. And you look across those swing states, with the exception of Minnesota.
So besides for all the wonderful work he did in Minnesota, the state that almost burned down, but don't worry, his wife loved the smell of tires burning.
I could smell the burning tires. I kept the windows open for as long as I could.
He says that he could code talk to the white guy to make it okay to vote for Kamala. This cynical pandering has become a pattern by the Democrats. I don't know if you remember, Hillary used to carry around hot sauce in her purse, she claimed. And when they asked her if that's pandering, she said, well, was it working? But Kamala constantly changed her accent for whoever she was speaking to. There's this belief that Democrats have that they have to somehow speak the way of the people. It's this weird condescending thing. Why don't you say what you say what you stand for? You notice that Trump, when he served McDonald's, he was wearing his cufflink shirts. He didn't pretend to be a fast food worker, and he was trolling Kamala, who undoubtedly did pretend to be a fast food worker. This obsession with pretending to be someone you're not is so inauthentic. You know what it reminds me of? This is what it reminds me of. And we had a Jewish version of this too. I just, don't want to embarrass my people. But this is basically what the Democrats remind me of.
Well, I wrote this song for the Christian youth. I want to teach kids the Christian truth. If you want to reach those kids on the street, then you got to do a rap to a hip-hop beat. So I gave my sermon an urban kick. My rhymes are fly, my beats are sick. My crew is big and...
So isn't that exactly what Tim Walz was doing? This I was at a code talk to men fixing their car. I know, when people fixing their car, you know what they care about? They care about the economy. And that's independent of what color skin they have. And that is true even if it's a black person or Hispanic person or even, women that sometimes fix their cars don't need to be code talked to. They just care about issues. They just care about immigration. They're not stupid. And this thing, they're they need permission to vote for me. No, they need permission to vote for you. You need to earn their vote. It's not so hard, Democrats. You just need to actually stand for something. All right, let's get into the show. So in news this week, Canada voted and they re-elected the Liberals. This is really upsetting. It was really upsetting to me. They had a great candidate, Pierre Poilievre, and it was almost assured he was going to win up until Trump was elected, and he started this trade war with Canada. And this caused Canadians to switch. Now, this is what everyone's saying. Everyone's blaming Trump, that it created a sense of nationalism in Canada. And Mark Carney was able to make the case stronger that he was anti-Trump. And they were a little bit ticked off this 50 first state thing, so they elected him. Now, Trump has a lot of blame here. But as the South Park song goes, blame Canada. It's not even a real country anyway. You know what, Canada? That's true now. Because you guys are feeling a little insecure about Trump, you voted in the Liberals who have destroyed your country for the last 10 years. There's a crime rampant. There's a spending crisis, and with the economy in the toilet, you elect the guy who was clearly the puppet master of Trudeau. What do you think? Trudeau was running the country? Trudeau wouldn't be able to run an ice cream store. It was Carney the whole time. So you re-elected this guy. What were you thinking? And just like cities of Chicago, and just like LA, you deserve the people you elect. And if you are destroying your country, nobody can save you. And you deserve it because you voted for those people. So very rarely do I get a topic that makes me happy and is something I really want to talk about. So let me show you a clip from what happened in Linden, New Jersey, the Jewish community of Linden, New Jersey over Passover. take a walk, take a look. So as you can see, this is the city hall in Linden, New Jersey, and it's been totally overrun by Hasidim. Why is this? So Hasidic Jews have been moving into Linden, New Jersey for the last couple of years, and the locals, they don't like it. They don't like it. They have big families. They have constantly try to change home sizes. They have their own schools, and they're constantly trying to build shuls and places to pray. They probably drive a little differently, a lot more minivans, and the locals don't really like it. And this has been a and so many New Jersey towns near Lakewood, Jackson comes to mind, Brick, Howe, have tried to create ordinances to stop the growth of a Jewish community, whether not allowing people to sleep in basements or requiring huge amounts of land for houses of worship and the like. And all of this is done to keep the certain flavor of the neighborhood. Now, what they mean by this is that they don't want all those Hasidic Jews over there. Now, I have to say that I'm a little bit sympathetic to their feelings. Not that I'm against Hasidic Jews. I'm certainly they're my crew, but I understand if you want to keep your neighborhoods looking a certain way. I understand that you wanted, over the holidays to see everyone's lights out and to send your kids to the same schools and the like. And the problem is racism and illegal ordinances and mistreating Orthodox Jews who you don't like is not the solution. And you know what would have been the solution? People of New Jersey and upstate New York, you know what you could have done instead of being prejudiced to all the Jews that show up. You know how you could have preserved the flavor of your neighborhoods? You could have had children. You could have pushed family values. You could have said, hey, kids, come back and move here because this is a wonderful community to grow in. But no, you didn't. You had maybe one or two kids. It told them to go off to college. You never expect them to come home. You didn't build communities. You didn't abandon the religion of your fathers. You don't have any community connections. You're busy on your smartphones all day. And now you're like, oh, we want to preserve the flavor of this neighborhood. We want to have cookouts and have Xmas lights. Well, I'm sorry. Other people can come and buy homes. And when those people come and buy homes, they buy homes sometimes together. And when they come buy homes together, they sometimes elect politicians who they want to serve them. And then they sometimes make zoning laws that serve their needs instead of the people who used to live there. And if the people who used to live there have a problem with that, they can also go to the vote. And if they lose, well, that's a democracy. And the idea that Americans should feel comfortable with telling people how to use their land without some major externalities is totally insane. The idea that you should force somebody to have a house of worship that fits these specific needs, no, it has to fit the specific needs of the local population. And so let me give you a spoiler alert. Linden, New Jersey, you're going to lose. You're going to lose catastrophically. You're going to lose like all the other towns lost in courts. You know why? Because you have no case. Because you're a bunch of racists. That's why. And if you don't, and so just give up now. And if you don't want to, you'll just lose in the most shameful way. So stop embarrassing yourself. And if you want to maintain communities, take my advice. Otherwise, community is not really important. I'm sorry you bought your homes only to be bought by some Hasidic Jew. Next time, have more kids and have grandkids. So I watched the Joe Rogan and Dave Smith debate. This is what Dave Smith gets wrong on the topic of Israel and Gaza. So I've been watching Dave Smith for years now. I'm a big fan of his. I think I don't agree with him on a lot of topics with regards to Israel, but he's an honest contributor and he's a very strong libertarian and he's right on most things. This is what I think he gets wrong with Gaza. But first, I want to address like an interesting moment he had in the Joe Rogan Experience. So Douglas Murray, in the most arrogant way possible, said to him, "Have you been to Gaza?" To which he replied, "No, that's not important." So usually it's like, I agree with Dave Smith in this, that it's not important to have specifically been to a country to be able to comment on the facts on the ground. But the way Dave Smith talks about Israel and the Palestinian conflict shows that he actually doesn't know what he's talking about, and seeing it would have helped. When I first went to Israel, when I was 18, after learning a lot about the Palestinian conflict, I still did not fully understand what the issue was until I drove from the airport to Jerusalem and I saw that's the West Bank, this is Israel. Like they're right next to each other. This idea of there are two states, the two-state solution. There's not going to be a two-state solution because there are not two states. They just don't exist. And if you go to the border and if you go to Gaza, you will see what Israel's security problem is. It is not simply that there are people living in two different neighborhoods. Gaza was right next to Israel. Israel is shipping tons of aid, and Israel is under no obligation to give aid to the Palestinians. This idea of Palestinian civilians are somehow separate from Hamas is nonsense. Is absolute nonsense. The people that rammed into Israel, the people that attacked Israeli civilians were just Palestinians. They can name themselves Hamas. They can name themselves the PLO. They can name themselves whatever they want. But the Palestinian people are committed to destroying Israel, and that's what you see if you watch what happened on October 7th. You have to really understand the geography to understand what's going on there. The idea that Israel is stopping aid going in is the fact that they wanted a war with Israel and they got it, and now they're getting it. And they're getting it good. And if they had not done that, then Gaza would still be standing. And you can call that an open air prison, but it sure as heck didn't look like an open air prison. It looked like a place which had a bustling economy. And sure, Israel locked it down. Israel did lock it down, but that was because Hamas took over. What is Israel supposed to do? They're supposed to live with a snake on their border? It doesn't make any sense. Now, to Dave Smith's other point that Israel is running in and slaughtering women and children, Dave Smith has no moral standing over here. General Crystal's insurgent math doesn't apply over here because the Palestinian people are sufficiently radicalized. There is no danger like in Iraq where America's like, what are we going into Iraq for? We're just going to create people to hate us, and we don't need to be there in the first place. The whole world's stupid. But Israel's wars with Palestinians are not due to are a necessity. Israel has to fight the Palestinians when they shoot rockets at Israel. Israel has to go in and try to get their hostages back. Israel has to destroy Hamas. There's no option over here. This is not a war. This is not a made-up war like the Iraq War. This is a war of necessity, and Israel has to take them out. And the idea that Hamas should be able to hide behind Palestinian civilians is insane. That would mean, like Coleman Hughes correctly pointed out on Joe Rogan, that would mean that everybody can just hide behind civilians and then you can't attack them. And I'm telling you now, Dave Smith, I don't care if you think this is not a moral argument, but if somebody starts shooting rockets at my house with my kids in it and they go hide behind the neighbors and I have no other way but to blow up that house, you better believe I'm blowing that house. I'm not going to let my kids die, and I'll sit, and that's the correct moral position. You cannot just let yourself be destroyed. What kind of a crazy thing is that? And the Palestinians are not the same as a random neighbor just being hidden behind. They had the tunnels built in their homes. They have tunnels everywhere. Israel is not obligated to care more about Palestinian children than the Palestinians do. If the Palestinians want to protect their children, then they should stop shooting rockets into Israel. Their strategy is to cause as many Palestinian deaths as possible by firing rockets off populated buildings and requiring Israel to blow them up. And they're hiding under their population centers. So Israel has to take them out that way. It is the Palestinians that are killing themselves. And until this nation decides to stop committing suicide, they're going to continue to do that. And there won't be peace unless the Palestinian people come to the realization that they're not getting the whole of Israel. The Jews have nowhere to go, and that realization will bring them to peace. Now, onto the question of who owns the land, I don't understand. This seems to be like, just like Douglas Murray seems to turn into like a liberal when it comes to arguing from authority. Dave Smith seems to turn into a liberal when he talks about migration. I don't understand what the problem is. They talk about the colonizer state. I don't understand. The left is perfectly comfortable with millions of people coming from Latin America to this country. They call them migrants, and I actually do call them migrants. I don't have a problem with migration. I think it should be done. I think it should be done legally. I think there should be a system where people can come in and get work permits. But I have no problem with that. I don't care where people come from. I'm not a racist. But for some reason, if European Jews decided to move to Israel, set up businesses, buy land, and make communities, for some reason that's a problem. And this is just nonsense. This is just nonsense. Jews moved to the country, they set up shop there, and when conflict arose, they set up a state. If you have a problem with that, then you're just a racist. Jews legally bought land in Israel. Now you're going to say, well, the Ottomans had this weird system, so the Palestinians thought they owned the land, and really the Ottomans owned the land. So I don't know. Do we want to go back and relitigate everything of the 20th century? Yeah, 20th century sucks. Do we want to say, do you think I believe that in the War of Independence, no Jews committed atrocities against Arabs? Do I believe that? Of course I don't. War sucks. That's why we should avoid war, because war is always terrible. But I'm going to sit here and say we should relitigate everything and go back in time and decide each dispute. No, we're gonna go where we are. We're gonna go from where we are. The Jews of Arab countries did not have the right to have some law of return. They were thrown out of this idea that this is Arab land, this is Palestinian land. It's just nonsense. It's just nonsense. We don't make this calculation in the rest of the world, and the Palestinian people, who are the most pathetic situation that they've been stuck in refugee status since 1948. What how can you do this to people? The UN just keeping them in so-called refugee camps for years. UNRWA not allowing them to resettle. Why should they be stuck like this? It's criminal. So on the topic of Israel and Palestine, there was an interesting moment this week between Matt Walsh, Tucker Carlson on the Tucker Carlson show, and let's give this a listen.
What did you think of the debate between Dave Smith and Douglas Murray on Rogan a couple of weeks ago? Did you watch that? And what
I did. I watched. I ended up watching. I wasn't planning on watching the whole thing, but I watched the whole thing. I'm constantly hearing from the peanut gallery demanding that I kind of give my verdict or my take on Israel and Israel versus Palestine and all this kind of stuff. And I have given my take, and my take is I don't care that much. I'm not just America first. I'm an American chauvinist in that I only care about my own country. I honestly don't care about other countries. I wish the people of other countries well. I think they all have a right to defend themselves, and they should. I think that if you can't defend yourself as a nation, or if you can't survive without being propped up by another government, say ours, then you shouldn't exist as a country.
Wait. If you can't exist without being propped up by another government, say ours, you shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Israel cannot exist without being propped up by the United States.
You think so?
Its nuclear program came from the United States. Its weapons come from the United States. Its economy is supported by the United States.
All right, so besides that nonsense from Tucker Carlson at the end there that Israel can't exist on its own, yeah, it lobbies America. There are lots of people that lobby America. America has a corrupt government and lots of money. So, yeah, no kidding. But Israel did just fine. Israel won the 67 war without America. Israel will be just fine. But the point that people are coming down on Matt Walsh, what do you mean you don't care about other countries? What do you mean you don't care about Israel? As a Jew and a big supporter of Israel, I want to say you don't have to care about it all the time. It doesn't have to be a big issue for you. You're allowed to focus on your country. You are not obligated to constantly be thinking about everyone else's causes. I saw like some rabbi testify before Congress recently saying it's not enough just not to be anti-Semitic. You have to be anti-Semitism. And I was like, why? Why can't people just be? Why do we have to constantly make these demands of people? This is like the Black Lives Matter movement. You have to be anti-racist. You have to be actively anti-racist. No, I don't. I can just go about my life as a peaceful person. I can go and get involved in commerce and treat everybody nicely and treat everybody respectfully and focus on my family and focus on my country. And I don't have to worry about everything. I don't have to get involved in every cause. There are plenty of causes, and I'm sure, and every cause has their people. And you don't have to be involved in everything. Matt Walsh, this country has a lot of problems in this here, and Matt Walsh is doing an outstanding job at bringing those to the forefront. And the idea that we should force everybody to give their take in Israel and force everyone to be pro-Israel, it's a losing battle, and it doesn't bring any favor to our side. All right, that'll do it for today, guys. Coming soon. It's just till next time. Remember, I'm dropping YouTube clips now, so check out my YouTube channel at the Walter Schaub Show. All the best.